Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the webinar. The webinar is scheduled to start within a minute, but if you can hear me, just say hello. Thank you, Anna. Hello everybody, this is Michelle Castillo, and we are going to start the webinar in a minute or two. Meanwhile, say hello so that I know you can hear me. All right, so this is 1 o'clock in the Vancouver, BC, and we are going to start. So again, this is Michelle Castillo. I haven't done any webinar for more than 2 years. Last time I had the webinar, my computer crashed somewhere mid-webinar. I now have a Mac, so hopefully it's not going to happen. And just to make me feel more comfortable, I know that I'm not alone. Please, if you can write into the chat on the right side, tell me, oh, okay, Virginia can't hear me, but everybody else can, so it might be your speakers. If you can tell me also, hello, Tyler. If you can also tell me what it is that you do, what your website is about. It really helps. Sometimes when we get to a specific topic, I might give special examples that relate to what you do. So it would be great if you, well, tell me where you're from. This is just some stats. And glad to know, Virginia, that you can hear me. And just that you know, there is an 8-second delay from when I talk and when you hear. I think the chat is a bit faster, so this might explain some weird delays that you might experience, or the other way around. Okay, so we have kitchenwares for kitchen witches, financial planner. Monica is from Abbotsford. Hello, Monica. Anybody else wants to help me warm up? Well, I guess, okay, Gibson's. Anybody not from Canada? I know we had a registrant from Australia. Are you there? Okay, I think we can start. Thank you so much for having used the chat. It's also a good practice for later on when I am open for questions. So just that you know, the webinar is probably going to take an hour, maybe more. My intention is to answer almost all the questions you may have, but I will have specific points in the presentation where I will allow for questions, just because it's kind of awkward that I don't see your faces and know when you you don't really understand what I'm saying. The topic, as you probably know, is search engine optimization for WordPress websites. And the goal, okay, now I have to move that thing. All right. So, well, we probably want to start with the definition of what search engine optimization is. And it is the process of improving the visibility and ranking of a website or a web page in the search engines via the natural or unpaid search results. So this is just a definition. We'll talk more about it as we go into the presentation. What's the goal of search engine optimization? For your website to be found on organic search results, to get more qualified traffic, and eventually, and most important, get more clients. Today's webinar's goals, it's not a real meeting, but this slide was previously shown in a meeting. So if you don't have a website, you will learn how to build your website with SEO in mind. And I really believe that this has to be the first thing you do before you start even designing your website, is to plan for SEO. If you already have one, you learn how to make sure that it has what it needs and maybe fix some issues you may have. And finally, we'll talk about how to avoid some common SEO-related mistakes that are specifically coming from, that specifically show on WordPress websites. So before we start, just in case you don't know me, I'll take a quick minute to introduce me. I hope it's okay with you. So this is me in an event I was a few months ago. My name is Michelle Castillo again. I consider myself an online marketing expert. By profession, I'm a mechanical engineer. So recently I thought maybe I should call myself a digital marketing engineer. So I don't know if you like it. Let me know what you think. I've been in front of computer more than 25 years. I lived and worked in Japan, France, United States, and have been living in Canada for almost 12 years now. Currently, and for the last 6 years, I have a local digital marketing agency that is named Spot On Digital Marketing. And we do basically everything: digital marketing, website development, SEO, sales funnels, membership website, e-commerce, and we're also a Google partner. So having said that, let's go and dip into what it takes to do SEO for WordPress. And why are we talking about SEO specifically for WordPress? So one reason is that WordPress offers specific tools and plugins that can help you optimize your website. And the other side of the same coin is that there are few potential issues that are created by WordPress, and in some cases, because it's so easy to use, that you want to avoid. So let's talk a little bit about the players in the SEO world and what motivates the player. So the most important player is the searcher. He is looking for something, and he wants relevant results on anything that he's searching for, and he or she wants them right now. What motivates the search engines? Well, first and foremost is revenue. And of course, to serve relevant results to the searchers, so that the searchers keep on using them, so that they create revenue. So how does the search engine decides what to show on the search results? A lot has been said about what Google is looking for. I'm going to talk about search engine and Google alternately, but Google is a much shorter word, so I'll use Google more often, but it also applies to Bing and other search engines. So the basis of everything is relevancy. You can have the best website that is linked from CNN and Vancouver Sun But if Google cannot understand what the content that you have on your site is relevant for, it cannot rank you for anything. And we're going to look into some bad examples in the next few slides. The next parameter is technical and usability factors. So this is just a list of parameters that are not necessarily related to each other, but they all impact the user experience on your site. For example, website load speed, if the site is secured or not. Yeah, these are the two things that I can think about right now. And Google has ways to measure those and enter these parameters into the algorithm that calculates who to show first on the search result. Next is authority. This is what many of you might know as backlinks. This is probably one of the most important, the most important ranking factor when everything is equal in the website level. So if you have two really very well done websites on the site itself, then Google goes and sees what you might have heard of as backlinks. So it actually analyzes the quality of the site by looking at the way that others are measuring it. So if there is a link from, say, a famous TV show to your website, of course, Google decides, well, this is probably an important website and it's more relevant. And finally, visitor behavior. So, for example, especially if you have Google Analytics on your site, Google can tell that maybe people search for a certain keyword. They came to your site and left it right away. They might have not found what they were looking for. And if you have a lot of visitors that bounce off your site right away, Google will conclude that this site is not about this specific keyword and it might not rank it. So let's talk about relevancy, because a lot of what we're going to talk about is about relevancy today, and you will hopefully understand soon. We already talked about it. Relevancy is what drives the search engine success. So if one of the reasons that Google shot up so high in the popularity when it started is that it shows the users relevant results. And if people like what Google shows them, then they stay in Google and then they create the revenue that Google is looking for. What does it mean relevant? Well, the content is relevant, and also if location is a factor, then location comes into account. For example, if I am in Vancouver looking for a restaurant, the fact that Google is able to show me restaurants around where I live make it more relevant, and it improves my experience. And this is a reason I will choose to use Google again. So when you do SEO, your job is to convince Google that your website is the most relevant for what your potential clients are looking for. So I have here two examples to drive this point, which are actually negative examples. So these are real life examples I've ran into in the last few years. The first one is a company that is making non-alcoholic beer. They came to me wanting help with social media, but they never looked at SEO, and it was really surprising. We did a quick research and find out that the term non-alcoholic beer is searched 22,000 times per month on Google. And they did not have anywhere on their site the phrase non-alcoholic beer. So they couldn't even make, of course, Google couldn't understand that that's what they make, and they were not even close to the top of the search results for this search query. Another example is a campground website. This is a website that I worked on a few years ago. You'll see a few examples related to this website in the next slides. So turns out the most business they get and most revenue they make is for RVs. But they did not even have the word RV in the entire site, so they didn't rank for it. And turns out the RV Parks Vancouver search term is searched 1,000 times per month. And now we have rebuilt their site and we have a lot. The word RV parks in Vancouver is in many places. Their website, their campground is really fully booked because it's ranking well. So hope this gives you an idea why you want to do the same. Are there any questions? If you have any questions, please put them into the chat so that I can answer them. Well, if you have any questions, then type them into the chat and I will stop because while I give the webinar, I can't see the chat unless I intentionally move my eyes from the screen. So if you have them, write them into the chat, and when I get to the next question point, I will answer them. So when you think about SEO, your first step is to understand what your potential clients are using when they look for your services or products. And this is where keyword research comes into play. So keyword research is a practice that helps you find the words or phrases that are relevant to your market and that people use to search for your product or services, and how the approximate search volume, so how many people actually search. And both information is really important. So the result of the keyword research can help you to do two things. First, it can help you create content that answers your market expectations. And this is not necessarily related to SEO in the raw meaning of it. But indirectly, of course, it helps with SEO, because when the people find what they were looking for, then they will stay longer, and your site will be better and more relevant. And the other aspect is if you know the keywords, you know what to optimize your web pages for. So here's an example what a keyword research might bring up. So this is, again, for the same campground that I talked about before. And this is just a small example to show when we worked on adding RV information to the site, you could see that people look much more often to RV Park Vancouver in comparison to RV Campground Vancouver. So we knew that it is better to optimize for RV parks. And this is just the kind of information that you may dig out when you do keyword research. This is another example. This is keyword research that I have done for an accountant. And this is not really typical to find keyword phrases that are so long. Often there is not enough for Google, the Google keyword tool, to actually even show the results. But in the accountant case, they had that, and you can see the information. So people are actually typing into the Google search box these kind of searches. How much does an accountant cost? Well, maybe this is not a great example, but how much let me find one. How to find a good accountant. What a great blog topic that this accountant can write about. If you write a good blog post that is optimized, is likely to rank on the top of the search result, and people will come see that he has a good result, and they hopefully will decided he's an expert and hire him eventually. So this is another example of what a keyword research what kind of information you can find. I also want to highlight the aspect of the volume. So a few years ago, I had a new client who is a mortgage broker, and they speak Hebrew, and they had it in their mind that they're going to optimize the website for Hebrew-speaking mortgage broker. And when we did the keyword research tool, it turned out nobody is looking for this term. So we could have optimized the site for this keyword, but then if nobody searches for it, nobody would come. So this is really important to understand also the volume. I can see that a lot of keyword-related questions were typed into the chat. So let me go and see what we have here. So I think, Joseph, by now you know that I'm referring to keywords. How do you know what phrases are searched the highest amount of times? Well, this information is provided by various keyword research tools, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And is there a good tutorial on how to use Google Keyword Tool? I'm not really aware of a specific one, but I know there's a website called Backlinko. I can't remember how to spell that, but he has really very good tutorials there about how to do keyword research. The Google Keyword Research Tool is by far, this will lead me right back into my my presentation, so it's good timing. The Google Keyword Planner or Keyword Tool has been around for a long time. It used to be free. Up until recently, anybody who had an AdWords account could use it. And just recently, I don't know when, because I don't have this problem. If you can use it only if you have an active AdWords account. So it really prevents a lot of the people from using the Google AdWords account. I don't know what you see if you don't have one, but active meaning that you actually have a credit card on file, that you're actually running ads. And so it's unfortunately it's not accessible as it used to be, but it is by far the best. The one thing that is really great about the Google AdWords keyword tool is that you can define the area that you're thinking about. So if you are a local business, let's say you are a locksmith, you don't care that what people are looking north, even Canada-wide. You want to know what keywords people are typing into the search box in your local area. And I don't know if a keyword tool apart from the Google tool that will give you information on such a specific local area. But there are other tools. So some examples are the most open Site Explorer. SEMrush is an excellent tool. Both have some free functionality, but most of it is still, if you want to really take advantage, you'll have to pay them. And there is a whole lot of all kind of tools that give you some information. Keywords Everywhere is really cool. It's a Chrome extension that you install, and then it adds information to even when the Google suggests, when you search for something in Google, at the bottom of the page, there are suggestions that Google tell you might be interested in this or that. It actually adds search volumes to each parameter. So it's really cool. And then Answer the Public will create a lot of questions around topics that you may have in mind. So it's a really good tool to create titles for blog posts. And then there is Suvel. I haven't used it really in the keyword. I'm not going to say the end of this tool, because with my accent, I might end up saying a bad word. So we can't go any further into keyword research. This is a topic for another training, I guess. But please, please, please do not skip keywords research. There is a lot of business owners that tend to do assumptions. They assume they know what people are looking for, and sometimes it's okay, but sometimes it is not. And maybe more important than that, you may be missing on a big chunk of searches that people do that will help you connect better with your audience and so on. Okay, questions. So, well, seems like no new questions show on the chat box, so we'll continue. So let's talk about on-page SEO. On-page SEO is everything you do on your web page, and this basically means taking those keywords that you know and just putting them everywhere, or maybe not everywhere, but let's talk about where. So this is an image I found on the web. It's not my creation, and it's trying to describe the perfectly optimized page. So where to put those keywords? Title tag and meta description, this is something you don't see in the page. We will talk about it soon. The page headline, this is the title of the page, what people can see. The body text, the URL or the permalink, images, alt attributes. We will go and look at each and every item in more details now. So let's start with page titles and page title tag and meta description. These are terms that you can't really see on the screen. So if you look at a website, you don't look behind the scene, you're not going to see it, but they're really important. The only way for you to actually see them is if you look at the page source. So you can actually right-click on the browser and choose View Page Source, and you can see what this information is. So this is just an example here, a screen capture I did. I looked at the source behind one of the pages on my website that I've used for examples. So what are those title tags used for if they are not shown on the actual web page? Well, maybe this is not the main reason they're there, but they're for sure used in the search engine ranking algorithm. Then the title tag is actually showing on the browser tab. So if you have if you open Google Chrome and you have 20 tabs like I do, then you will see that right near the favicon there is at least the beginning of the title, and if you hover, you will see the entire title, just like you see here. And then, probably more important, it is the first line that searchers see on the search results. So the search results are actually the first place that people will run into your website, and you want to make that enticing so that they click, because your website shows along with 10 or 20 more sites on the page, and you want to make sure that what you say here is making them want to click. So it is really important. So some important characteristic things that you have to take care of when it comes to title tag is, first, you want it to be unique across your website. So you don't want to have two pages that have the same title tag. They are probably the most important on-page element that Google is using, so make sure to use them right. They always have to contain the keyword, and the closer to the beginning of the title, the better. They should always contain your brand, preferably at the end of the title, and keep them short. So you could see in my example before how my title doesn't even show it's in its entirety on the search result, which is not good. So think 65 characters and make those 65 characters meaningful and impactful. The description tag, again, cannot be seen on the site, but it can be seen on the search result. So this is the text that you see under the link. And again, this is your opportunity to tell people why they should visit your website. It is not used in the Google ranking algorithms for a simple reason. I think it used to be used before, but people really abused and put a lot of keywords in there, so it's no longer being used. But it plays a major role in the decision of a searcher whether to click or not. So make sure that it is a good one. So how do you set those up? And this is where we're going to start talking about WordPress and specifically about the Yoast SEO plugin. So anybody here did not hear about WordPress SEO? So if you can just type for me in the chat, yes or no, have you heard about Yoast SEO plugin? Have you used it? Okay, now I have to wait, I guess, for 10 seconds before the delay is... Okay, nobody answers me, so... Oh, now it starts coming. Yes, no, yes, yes. Okay, I think there's 50-50, so, anyway, I'm sure you'd appreciate knowing more about it, so I will introduce you to it. So the Yoast SEO plugin, it used to be WordPress SEO plugin when it wasn't known. At some point, he changed it to Yoast SEO plugin. Yoast is the name of a very smart guy from the Netherlands. And it's a plugin that provides you with a set of tools that help you optimize your WordPress website. So probably the most important part is after you install it, each page has a new tab. Each editing page in WordPress have a new SEO tab. And this is how it looks. This is how it looks today. It constantly changes. So every time I do a presentation about this topic, I have to go and capture a new screen, and it always changes. So this is how it looks today. This is right under the post editing area or under the page editing area. And this is what it shows you. So first it shows you how your page will show on the search results. So this is not necessarily, it's not a guarantee it's going to look like, but it's likely that that's what it's going to look like. And this is just, paragraph is also called snippet. Okay, so if you don't put anything into the SEO title and description, Google's just gonna take whatever it finds on the site, which can be embarrassing sometimes. But anyway, so the Yoast SEO tool will show you what it might look like. And then you want to input the focus keyword, and this is the keyword that you want to optimize this page for. And this is really important for the Yoast SEO tool to help you understand if you optimize the page or not. I've seen few cases where people put a focus keyword that is so simple that it's like they made the tool decide that you have a great optimization, but this is not the right way to do it. So in the focus keyword, really put what you think is important and then make sure everything else meets the requirement. When you click on the Edit Snippet button, you will have an interface to put an SEO title, the meta description. These are both the title tag and the description tag we've talked about. And also it will show you the flag, which impacts the URL of the page. We're going to look into it in a separate slide that is coming up. This is a new parameter. It did not have it before, so I have a separate slide for that. So basically this helps you put this information into your pages. Okay, this is probably, I am sorry, this is this probably 3 months ago, this is how it looked. But again, I talked about the focus keyword already. Make sure to put it in. And this is the same again, just how to edit it. So there's nothing new on this slide. One thing not to forget. So a lot of the WordPress themes do not let you actually edit the homepage, but they build the homepage. So for example, the default WordPress themes. They build the homepage from your blog post. And this means that you don't have this interface that we've just seen on a homepage level. And the homepage is probably the most important page on your site. So the Yoast SEO plugin gives you an interface to set the title and the meta description for your homepage. So don't forget that. It's the same idea. You want to put you want to decide what the keyword you want to optimize your homepage for, and you just put it here. So you just go to the main Yoast SEO screen, and then there's general, home, and you go for home and input information. Okay, let me check for questions. Okay, so the Yoast SEO is free, and I am not aware of any SEO plugin that is premium one, meaning that you pay for. Apart from, actually, Yoast SEO has a pro version that costs money. We have purchased it for one or two of my clients, and honestly, back then, this was a year or two ago, I could not see any advantage. You had everything you needed on the free version. Another paid SEO-related paid plugin, which I use a lot, is the Yoast Local SEO, and this is really is worth it. I don't remember what it cost. It's pretty costly. I was lucky to have bought it right at the beginning, and so I have a lifetime unlimited website license. But nowadays they price it by the site, and I think per year. So it's maybe $50 per year per site, but it's really worth it because it really helps local businesses rank higher. So page body. This is the content, the text that you write on the site. So first, and really, if you want your web page to matter, it must have at least 300 words. But the truth is that the more the merrier. And the SEO expert and all the marketing expert, you will sometimes see blog posts that are more than 1,000 words. And it is for a reason. So don't try to be elegant and short and to the point. This is not, I mean, you should be, but not when it comes to optimizing your site. About heading. Heading are those are the titles of the content. So you might have seen if you edit a page or post in WordPress, you can assign titles, the H1 or H2 or H3. H1 is of course the most important one. Google, the robot goes and searches for the H1 and it tries to conclude what the page is about from the H1. There should usually be only one H1 on every page. And then other keywords, other ways to highlight keywords is using the H2 and the H3. Each heading you use should ideally contain a valuable keyword. And yeah, also think about readability. So a lot of people, if you have a 1,000 words blog post, people might not read the whole thing, but if you have a good structure and the H2s have good information, they will still get what you want them to get, and this is important. Other ways to highlight important keywords is to use the bold, italics, lists, because Google knows that this means that you give more importance to a certain keyword. Now to the H1, which is really an important part. We already said H1 is the most important header on the page. And how does it work in WordPress? If you use a typical WordPress theme, actually WordPress creates the H1. If you use a good theme, it will create the H1 from your title. So this is how it works. This is the WordPress editor. This is when you create a new page, you enter the title here. And then, of course, you enter the content. This goes into the WordPress database. And when the theme shows your content on the screen, it will automatically take the title and assign it the H1 tag. Okay, so this is how it should work. However, and this is error or mistake number one that you should be aware of when it comes to WordPress theme. Some themes don't do it. And this is an example that I ran into for a client that hired me a few years ago. So this is just a picture of the demo site of the theme. And what happens here, you can't see it because it's behind the scene, but the word financing here actually has the age 2 tag. And the age 1 tag is on the logo, which is far from being what you want for SEO. What happens is that across the site, the age 1 tag on each and every page is the logo file name. And so this site, I don't know what Google makes out of it, but it's not good. So now that I scared you, let me try and show you how you can actually figure out that this is what's happening. If you use Chrome or Firefox browser, you can right-click on what is supposed to be the title. Then you get this drop-down and the option to inspect the element. And what's going to happen is that under the main screen is going to be a new screen with a lot of text that looks a little bit like Hebrew. But here you can see it shows you. This is a very important tool for people like me who develop websites all day long. But in this case it shows the HTML that is related to this, and you can see that it has the H2 title. Okay, just I want to go to the previous one, 4. So one of the questions you may ask, okay, so what am I going to do if this is the theme that has H2 on titles? So I would say don't even buy a theme like that, because if somebody developed a theme not understanding that the title should have H1 and you shouldn't have H1 on the logo, they probably have done many more mistakes on this theme. So just buy another one. In this specific case, the client did not want to buy another one. They were really happy with it. And so we actually went into the code and fixed the code, which is not it took us quite a bit of time. The code was not that great. So yeah, again, best way not to even buy these things. But be aware of this problem and don't just pick any theme out there. Questions? Okay. So what I'm going to ask some questions that were put into the chat from before. One is, what is the maximum number of keywords we can repeat in a post page before being blacklisted? Well, I don't have a number for you. However, the general guideline is to write content that is readable. And if Google is not able to detect that it's not readable, but rather keyword stuff today, it will be able to do that next year. So if you write to your audience, if you write content that is good and readable, then with time, Google will catch up with it. It will be able to analyze the quality of what you wrote, and you are on the right track. So yeah, so don't do keyword stuffing. It's just not the thing to do in 2017. Another question, can I use Yoast SEO to optimize my static page too? I don't know. Do you have a WordPress website, Anaita? I think you do. Well, I'll answer this question generally. If you don't have a WordPress website, then you cannot use Yoast SEO. And static homepage, yes. So if you have a static homepage, the interface to put the parameters in it's just like all the other pages. So if the homepage is static, then there is no difference from other pages. If the homepage is built dynamically, that's when you need the specific panel that I've shown you before. Okay. Is the readability score more important than the SEO score? So, question Anna has is about the scoring that Yoast is SEO is giving your page. So I must say I have been ignoring it almost totally because they try to kind of systemize the analysis of your page, and it might be that they cause you to over optimize. So yeah, is the readability score more important than the SEO score? I think the SEO score is more important. Yeah, it sure is. Readability, I'm not sure. I'm sorry, I'm not 100% sure if it will help or what's the impact on the bottom line. Okay, another question. I can say Excel training or Excel course. Is it better to do 5 Excel course or 5 Excel training? Okay. So again, going back to the topic of how the keyword stuffing. So it is a bit more advanced topic, but Google now understands content in a way that is more than the single keyword. So they kind of know what words will typically be around a specific topic. So let's say you have a page about locksmiths. They expect the page to also have words like key and a door and locked out and so on. So when you write a page, again, if you write a page thinking about the reader, you're probably going to do the best. Okay, just write so that people can read and understand your point. I hope I understand. I hope it helps get them. Okay. Next. So, a topic a bit simpler, optimizing images. So, search engines can still not look at images. They may have the technology, but I haven't heard about them looking at every image on every web page still. So what they use is the alt text tag, which we can set up. It's very similar to the meta tag and the description tag we've talked about before, which means you can't really see it on the screen, but it's behind the scene. Always use keywords in the image file names. Use captions when appropriate, and use images with really a reasonable size. So think about it. An image that comes out of a camera is 4,000 pixels wide. Your screen is not more than 2,000 pixels wide. So if you put a picture into your website that is 4,000 pixels wide, you're just wasting space, and the browser needs to resize it, and it slows down your site. I used my rule of thumb is to use images that are not bigger than 1,000 pixel wide, unless they are used for background for the entire site, then it's 2,000, and that are not larger than 100 kilobytes. Rarely do I end up putting something that is more than 100 kilobytes, but even then it won't be more than 200. So this is how we do it in WordPress. When you load a picture, you can when you add a picture to the site, you can click on it and you get an image details screen, and it has the alternative text, which is the alt tag, where you should put a keyword, and then the title attribute is probably not as used, but still, just in case, put something there. And if you can think about a good caption, then put a caption, because Google will take it into account. Now, I want to highlight the point of the image file name. Okay, I think my opinion is you have to optimize each and every image you put to your website. And here are an example of not good image file name. And these are image names that I have taken from websites today. Okay. Clearly, Shutterstock 4466 blah 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 is not good. Also, homepage image is not good because it says nothing on your website. If you are an accountant, then accountantvancouver.jpg can be the homepage image. It does not have to be named homepage image. Always put the keywords into the image name. And a blog post, February 6th blog, again, doesn't have any meaning, so it's not great. Please optimize your file names. Let's see. There are a few questions coming in here. So, tools and plugins to use for image optimization. Very good question. I'm glad you asked. So there's tons of tools. I use Photoshop. I bought a standalone Mac Photoshop Elements that was not even $100. Adobe didn't really want to buy it because they have an ongoing kind of licensing thing where you pay $19 a month. But this does everything I need. There are also online tools such as Sumo Paint. There's tons of them. Just Google online photo editing software and you'll find some. If you don't have a lot of images to resize, you can use that. Is there a way to mass analyze our site for images that are too big? Yes, there is. I don't think you need it, Anna. But I'm not familiar with free tools, but there must be some auditing tools that are free. I personally use a tool that is called Raven. It runs an audit on your entire site, and one of the things that it will give you is a list of images and their sizes. So yeah, there is a tool. Does the order in which the keywords are typed matter? Well, so I'm not 100% sure what you're asking, Stephen, but it just could be, I'll answer both potential questions. One is, if you're thinking, let's say you're thinking, well, do I have to type Vancouver Locksmith or Locksmith Vancouver? Yes, you have to think about it because you will find that more people might be looking for one combination and not the other. So maybe most people type Vancouver Locksmith and then maybe 1,000 a month, and then Locksmith Vancouver only 400. So you can get this information from the keyword research. And then if you're talking about the text in general, so the closer to the beginning, the better, because we don't always know how far Google robot will go down the page. So put the important stuff closer to the beginning. What about product images? Would you use? Yeah, absolutely. I would use images that are under 1,000 pixel and under 100 kilobyte. The pixel, for sure, it's a no-brainer. Again, your screen is that size. So if you put a 2,000, the browser is just going to make it smaller. So what's the point putting a bigger one? Now, you may wonder, but there is a way, like the Photoshop Elements, it has this option of save for the web, and it reduces the quality. So understand these tools were developed for print, and we do not need this quality for screens. So you can save almost any image I've ever seen into, let's say, 1,000 pixel wide image and medium quality JPEG, and it will be, I've never seen anything that ends up more than 200 kilobytes. But yeah, for sure not more than that. Can I repeat or spell the name of the tool you use to analyze images on your site? So the one I use, Virginia, is Raven tools. Raven, like the bird, the black bird tools. And if you still didn't get it, send me an email and I'll send it to you, okay? Okay, let's continue. So we talked about it before, the URL. So you do want to put the keyword in the URL. This is just one example. You can edit it with the inside every page and post in WordPress. It automatically creates this part of the URL, but you can edit it. And in some cases, especially for blog posts, when blog post titles tend to be something like how I found that the best dating site on the web. So automatically WordPress will put the how I found in the URL. This is meaningless from an SEO point of view. So you want to go in and just put the important keyword there. And the result, of course, it shows here. So, okay. I see. Oh, so somebody put here a link to a plugin by Raven Analytics. I've never seen it, I must say. I actually pay them. So I use the Raven tool interface, but you should look into it. It's called Raven Analytics. Not sure. Might worth looking into. Thank you. So we've talked about this topic already, but I'll just say it again. Hummingbird is actually an algorithm that Google have developed a few years ago that tries to analyze the content of a page and understand if it is really good quality, and good quality from a reader point of view, not from an SEO point of view. So we've talked a lot about it. If you write good stuff, then Google will understand it, and they just driving their whole algorithm to this direction. So I think we've talked about it enough. Okay, so not a whole different topic, but a way to find out what your site is like on the web. There is this miracle search you can do in the Google search box, which is you type the word site and then semicolon, and then you put your domain, and you will be able to see exactly what pages on your site are indexed by Google. And you might find pages you don't want Google to index. And you might find that some pages that you want to be indexed are not. And you will see how they will show on search results. So let me show you an example. So this is one of my websites. I typed site, semicolon, wpinsider.org. And what it shows is exactly what we saw before, the title tag, the URL, and the description. This was quite a while ago, as you can see. So this is, I consider it's pretty good. It's not brilliant, but it's good. And this is a pretty bad example. I must say, I checked their website today again, and they improved a little bit, but so I just kept this one, which is a bit old. So this is an architecture firm here in Vancouver, and this is what it used to be. Bookmark and share, contact us. You probably don't want that. So try, really do that now, do it every month. Make sure that what people are seeing when they find your site on the search result makes sense, okay? You don't want that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about site structure, because beyond when you do optimization page by page is great, but then you want to think about the structure of the site as a whole and how Google sees it. We're not going to go too deep into it, but I'll just highlight a few points. We did talk about the URLs, nothing more to say about that. Internal link. So you want to interlink, when it makes sense, different pages on your site. So if, for example, you have a page about your services, at the end you say contact us, well, naturally you will want to hyperlink this text to the contact us page. But also when you talk in a blog post, let's say you have a blog post about the services that you do, a special case study, then when in the blog post you have text that talks about your services, hyperlink to those pages. It helps Google find your content, it helps Google understand the way your site is built, and it helps your ranking. Then comes the term you might have heard of, which is called sitemap. And there's two types of sitemap. There's the HTML sitemap, which is for visitors on your site. And this is really useful if you have a big website. And unfortunately, it is also useful if your site is not very well built and people find it hard to find what they're looking for. And you can use, there's some plugins that will just help you do that. I think there is a plugin called WP Sitemap Page or something similar. Some things have a template built in. If you have a Genesis child theme, they have it built in. And then the XML sitemap. XML sitemap is a sitemap that you can't really read. It is something that you submit to Google, and it helps Google discover all your content. So this is a very good practice to submit XML sitemap for each and every website that you have to Google. I still call it Google Webmaster Tools here. Actually, they changed the name to Google Search Console. I think a lot of people still call it Google Webmaster Tools, but both are the same. So how do you do the XML sitemap? Again, this is a feature of the Yoast SEO. And as of today, because it has changed, it changes every month, but as of today, you have to go to the feature screen and first enable the advanced setting pages. And the second step is you go to the XML sitemap screen and you enable that functionality. And once you do that, the XML sitemap is created automatically by the tool, and you're ready to submit it to the Google Search Console. And so this is how it goes in the Google Search Console. You have to go to Configuration, Sitemaps panel, and you have to enter the XML file name. It's always, if you use Yoast SEO, it will always be sitemap_index.xml. You don't have to worry about remembering it. If you go to this screen and you click on the hyperlink, you'll see the file on the screen and you will know its name. Just a word about the Google Search Console. I believe each and every website has to be connected to the Search Console. I've just written a blog post. So if you go to my website, I just last week I published a blog post about why it's really important. And the most important reason is actually that you have a communication channel with Google. So if they find a problem on your site, they know who to send an email to. Otherwise, they won't. And some of the messages they send can be really scary, such as, oh, we blacklisted your website because we found malware that you don't know of. So if you don't have your site connected to the Google Webmaster Tool, go ahead and connect it. Let me check. I think there's a question here. How do I submit HTML sitemap to Google? You don't submit HTML sitemaps to Google. It's only the XML sitemaps that you submit. The HTML sitemap is only a feature you provide your website visitors. Okay. So this is a topic that is a little bit more advanced. Hope it's not going to make your head spin. But I thought I'll mention it because this has been going on for a few years now, and it is structured data markup, or schema.org. And what it is a standard that is agreed between all the search engines, how to mark information on your site so that the search engine can easily identify it. I know it sounds like Hebrew. This is how it might look like. And this is something you might have seen. So these are called rich snippets that are driven by this markup that I talked about a second ago. So this shows content that was marked up for a video. This was marked up to be a recipe. So understand, let's say you have a website about a recipe, you could actually add stuff to the backend, just like the meta tag and title tag we talked about before, that tells Google, this is a recipe, or this is a video. And it makes Google's life easier. And in some cases, they may not find it and may not know that it's a recipe. But if you put this information on the text or the pictures, then you're more likely to show. One thing that is really important and this is for you, Anahita, is there are rich snippets on products. So when you have an e-commerce website, this is really important, so that if you've ever seen search results that actually show the product from the site, this is how it's created. So this is just to scare you. This is how the schema.org for a local business looked like. So it's, again, you don't see it in the front end of the site, but it has this structure that says, okay, this is the name of the business. This is the address. This is the postal code. This is the phone. Sorry. The good news is that there are some tools that will do that for you. So we've talked about SEO Local by Yoast. And this one does it for local business. So any local business, any business that is willing to expose its address should use that. And it supports local SEO. So let's say you are a restaurant and you want to show on the map, you really want to have the local schema markup, and you should use the SEO Local. Also, good news for you, owners of e-commerce website, if you use WooCommerce, it automatically attaches the schema markup to products. I'm sorry, I'm going to drink water. Water break. There's also a plugin called all-in-one schema.org, which snippet. I have never used it. It's a bit beyond me. And then if you use a certain theme, such as the Genesis framework, will attach some meaningful markup to posts and pages. Actually tell Google this is a blog post and things like that. Let me see if there are any questions. May I see step 1 again? I assume you're talking about the step 1 to enable the XML sitemap. It was go to the WordPress SEO feature screen and enable advanced setting pages. And not a local business. Is there another option for markup? So it's not, we're not talking about option as such. We're talking about opportunity, I'd say. So if you have a blog post of recipe, or if you're selling tickets, then it might make sense. So it really depends on the business you have. Yeah, that's so these are the best examples I have, but if you, I don't know what you do, so I can't really comment to what you do. What do you do, Monica? I'm just counting the second to see if Monica will tell me what she does. Oh, I guess it will come soon. Okay, nothing. Okay, never mind. So just I think this slide stayed here. Local SEO is very dear to my heart, so I was thinking, should I keep this one or not? Well, local SEO, just a short comment about local SEO. If you have a local business, or even if you have a business that might serve people from all around the world, but you also want to enjoy the fact that you are, say you're in Vancouver, and you have a business that can serve people even in Australia, still, if you have a business address, you can enjoy the fact that some of your potential clients are closer to you. The fact that they're in Vancouver and you're in Vancouver will help you rank higher. So if you can just think about this kind of relationship, then you should take care of, you should take advantage, I'd say, of local SEO. Okay, let's see. Okay, the kitchen items. That's going back to Monica's question, if she's not a local business. I think I answered that. So it's okay if you sell kitchen items worldwide. It is still okay to sell them to people who live close to you, right? So again, if you put a business address in place, the people who live near you are more likely to see you, and you can just, it's not going to hurt. I think so. I don't think it's going to hurt your well, if you don't have an address, then that's a whole different thing. If you don't have an address, then you can't. To take advantage of our local SEO, you must have an address and a local phone. So if you don't have it, then it just don't do it. Okay, so a few more things to take into account in regard to SEO. We talked about some technical parameters. Load speed is for sure important. So we talked about images, and images can be a major issue when it comes to site load speed. If you have a picture that is 2 mega in size, it will slow down your website dramatically. And so don't do that. But also, there are themes and tools that are used on the site that can have a major impact on the load speed. So one of my clients asked me last week about a website that he owns and asked me, what does it load so slow comparing to other websites on my server? And when I digged into it, this website is using a plugin that is really slowing down their site. I just Googled it, and it seemed like everybody were saying, not only did I see the result in reality, but it seemed to be the experience of everybody. So maybe the best way to avoid these things is just before you choose to use a specific theme, just Google it, see what other people are saying about it. And more important, be aware of the problem. Some plugins can be really awful. So my approach to that is the less plugin, the better. Less plugins, the better. Hosting, bad hosting can have a real impact, again, on the load speed. Most notably, GoDaddy is considered to be really slow. They put so many restrictions on the usage of their servers that it can be really bad experience for the users. And so if you want to improve the load speed, despite everything, one of the best ways to do it is to use cache. Cache means that if somebody came to your site and load a page, it requires the theme to go into the database and pull the information. If you use the cache mechanism, the next person who comes to the page, the reaction is much faster because the page is kept as is, and it's just shown to the visitor. Probably the most known and used plugin for cache is called W3 Total Cache. They used to be really great. What I don't like about them right now is that they try to push the premium service on you. Well, I guess it makes sense. They've done a great job, and they want to get compensated. But yeah, maybe it is worth to pay for the premium if you really want to have a great load speed. Just look at it. Questions. What is the best hosting? This is a painful question. Just the hosting company that I was using for so long became so bad that I'm just looking for anyone, and I don't have a good answer for what's the best hosting. Heard great things about SiteGround. I don't know. Best hosting it's not a good day to talk to me about best hosting. How much more effort and costly is it to market your services to non-local markets too? It really depends on your market, what it is that you do, what kind of competition you're facing. So this is a bit too general a question. Do you have more specifics about this? Okay, I believe this might be actually the last slide. So if you kept any questions to the very end, this is the time. If not, we are going to summarize and close the event. What plugins do I recommend? Well, Yoast SEO, Local SEO, Gravity Form for forms, W3 Cache, which I've just talked about. This is everything. Oh, Backup Buddy for making backups. WooCommerce if you need an e-commerce website. That's it. I really use very, very few plugins on every site that I build. I don't like slider plugins and all kind of plugins that do tricks that very often they're not. They are good today, but next year they're not gonna support them anymore. But this is a topic for a whole different webinar. How do I generate H1 in the text body? If your theme does not do it by itself, then you can just mark, you can just mark any text and mark it to be H1. But you want to have only one H1 on every page, so be aware of that. Okay. And will this webinar, so if everything worked, this webinar has been recorded and you will get a link to the recording after the webinar. But don't go yet. So just let's summarize. We talked about what how search engines' best interest is to provide relevant results to the searchers. And so you want to make sure that your page is relevant and do your best to help Google understand that. You want to take care of different technical and usability factors such as load speed, and also something we haven't mentioned but started being a bit more important is the SSL certificate, the secure sites. You might have seen it, HTTPS URL. Google is giving it more importance nowadays. Authority is a whole thing. We did not talk about authority, but this is backlinks, something for a whole different webinar, I guess. And visitor behavior, it comes back to the relevancy. If you have good content and you answer your target market questions, then the visitors to your website will behave in a way that will help you rank. Hi. If you want me to help, then I am delighted to do so. That's what I do for a living. And I do have the offering to do a 30 minutes strategy sessions. We call them clarity sessions. I have up to 5 people a month. So if you're interested, let me put the link to the application on the screen. Something that is new. I'm not sure it's going to work. You are supposed to have this offer on the right side of your screen. It's just a link to go to this page where you can apply for a 30 minutes complimentary clarity session if you're interested. And then finally, well, if you have any question, you know where to find me. You got so many emails from me over the last few days that I'm sure you know how to find me. So before you close, any more questions? I will answer. So whoever said that they're interested, just click on the button and you can book your session, or you can, if you didn't find the button, just go to my homepage, spotondigitalmarketing.com, and there is right there in the middle, there is a red button that you can use to book your call. And Anna wrote some nice comment to me. So Oh, Anna, did you manage to show it to everybody? I didn't know that. Okay, that's something new, as I said. And yeah, so thank you very much for being here. Feel free to let me know how it went. If you learned something, send me the email, ask questions. SEO is probably my favorite topic, and I would like to help you be successful. Have a great day.